Welcome to Formulations. Formulations is an interview series that we've developed at ThoughtForm to help share our insights and observations from the world of communication design with professionals like you. My name is Kevin Fernando, and today I'll be introducing you to Nancy Herzing.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the set, Nancy.
Thank you.
Nancy is a strategist and designer here at ThoughtForm, and our kind of in-house expert on all things training related. So workforce training, training ecosystems, and that's a lot about what we'll be speaking about this month. So stay tuned in and we'll be right back. All right, so what are the major parts of a learning ecosystem?
Okay, so a learning ecosystem, when you boil it down, it's really three major parts. I'd say the first part is what everyone thinks about first, content. What knowledge you're trying to impart onto your team, what skills you want them to gain, and that can be anything from something pretty technical, like what's software interface, or it could be something more soft skills, customer service, language, or best practices, or it could even be more broader techniques such as consultative sales, how to go about that, how your organization goes about that. But really, that's the content of what knowledge you want to impart on to people, and there's best ways to share that knowledge. We don't have time to get into it today,
Sure.
but is it Q&A? Is it dialogue? Is it trial experience? There's lots of ways to share that content. I like to think of content as the what you're trying to share. I'd say the next thing is delivery. You're taking that content and packaging it up in some way, so you and your colleague can use it and share it and make it a part of their day-to-day work. That delivery can be done anywhere from e-learning to webinars to tracks of experiences, multiple experiences, mentoring. There's lots of ways to deliver the knowledge, and you need to align that with your content to have it make sense. So I like to think of it as the what and the how, and even the when. Sometimes you need to trigger how you deliver your content based on maybe I've completed something, or I just finished tackling some sort of project and it's timely. So that can be part of a delivery as well. I'd say the third aspect is probably one of the trickier aspects is support. Support is everything, the web of things that you need to have in place to support the content and delivery and allow your users to absorb the content, put it into action, and have recall of it. This is something new that they're learning. So how do you wire it into their brain, into their behaviors, into their actions, and make that change? So support is not a one and done sort of thing. Usually folks think of it as, hey, we'll send an email reminder or something like that, but it can be a whole web of things. And that I like to think of is almost the why. Why am I doing this? Why should I change what I'm doing now? And why now? So I like to think of it as content as the what, delivery as the how and the when, and even where, and then support as the why and sort of the support for that why.
Yeah, so we have like all of these different pieces. We have the how, the what, the when, the where, the why. How do you paint one big picture out of all of those colors?
Well, that's a whole ball of wax there. I don't know how much time we have today, but I would say to really make an ecosystem cohesive, you need to really, there's lots of reasons why it could not be cohesive, and some of those are organizational, maybe just how your content is developed or how your training department is structured, where it sits in your organization. So sometimes training organizations are horizontal and they have the ability to make things cohesive because that's how they're organizationally set up. But in many instances with many of our clients, just because some clients are very large and the subject matter expertise needs to be siloed in a way to keep it keep it intact, a lot of the training is also siloed. So that can be a barrier to cohesiveness, I'd say, but to battle that, or to sort of work your way around that, it's really about taking a step back and thinking about your training experiences within that broader ecosystem. And you need to look at them at sort of a macro level and a micro level. So if you are in a sort of a horizontal sort of organization, and you can have that broader macro look. You look at, are things are connected? Are things feeling like a family?
Mm-hmm.
Are one experience lead to another in a meaningful way? Do you feel like are there logical tracks? Are there curriculums based on the roles that are in your organization to build up the your talent pipeline,
Right.
fill the gaps in that way. So there's lots of things that you can look at holistically at the macro level to inform changes that you might do at the micro level. And if you are in an organization where your training is a little bit siloed, it does help to reach out to other parts of the organization, because a lot of times you uncover redundancy, inefficiencies, and so you all can benefit from that. And then when you go to make changes at the micro level,
Mm-hmm.
you can take those and bring those learnings to bear, and then you start looking at sort of the nuts and bolts things like, do we have a consistent toolkit of just branding elements, or how we ask questions, or templates? Are we encouraging people to go to the similar tools in the right way? Are we having redundant content? Are we having conflicting content in any way? So you can really sort of look at the macro level and bring those things to bear and make changes at the micro level to help you be more cohesive.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so what elements do your teams usually forget? What are we not thinking about?
Oh gosh, good question. If I have to say one thing, it's sort of the support for the support. And what I mean by that is, I feel like there's a lot of focus on developing the content, developing the delivery, getting that right, and even the immediate support after the training, the recall tools, the follow-up materials. But often, to make change really happen, or the knowledge to really find its way into your organization, there's a lot of people and processes and things that also need to change, or need to understand the aims of that training in order for it to happen. So those people are also the support. And often those are managers or team leads, and so you need to think about them. So, if you think about it, you just gave a team a whole bunch of training, and they report to a manager or a department head.
Mm-hmm.
That department head needs to know how to propagate that learning, support it, and it can be anything from, hey, here's a guide. We just did this training, and here's some ways that you as a manager can support that training. It could be a guide for the managers. It could be maybe if they are expected to do follow-on training, helping them really feel comfortable doing that follow-on training, how to maintain that learning. It could be as simple as just giving them almost permission to allow their team members to try it, to have space, have time to try it, what they've learned. So some of those things are, like I said, support for the support. You need to give your team members the support to implement that training, and those around that support need to know what they can do to help make that happen.
All right, so for my last question, I think we've all been to places where, you do the training just to check the boxes, just to, hand in the report that says you've been through this training. But if I'm a trainer or I'm on a team, how do I, create a training program that employees actually want to use in their job?
So I think the key thing there is not to create a training program. It's about training experiences, whether that is technically a program or an e-learning course or a one-off seminar or training that you're doing, but thinking about them as experiences. And just that shift and thinking about it as a thing that you're doing to impart knowledge to a hosted, well thought out event almost, whether that's a one-on-one event or a group event, can shift how you think and change it from being something that you want to go to versus just a check the box sort of thing. And by that shift, you'll start to consider things that really make it an experience, how to make the user feel hosted, how to make them feel important and that you really care about them learning this knowledge. How do you make the content feel very relevant to what they're doing versus another role perhaps. So then you'll really start to think about those sorts of things, and it's hard to do that, and we often help our clients kind of be that objective eye to really make that experience feel like an experience. And often we'll get clients that say, well, this is just an e-learning, this is just something that is we're going to do. I would say don't let that box you in, because that's when you start closing your mind off to an experience. And if you are using e-learning, for example, there's lots of things that you can do to make that feel like a hosted experience. Everything from making a little jaunt in your flow to host this person, this role, ask questions in a different way for that role versus another role. For examples, a little bit more relevant. So there's things that you can do within e-learning, within the tools itself that can help you do that. And it could be even just small things like music or voiceover or courtesy things like how to allow the person to jump back or review or a quick summary, just to help them understand that you are really caring about them learning this information. And I think a big part of making that experience is figuring out how to best to sort of contextualize what you're trying to teach them. For example, we were doing a session with one of our clients, and we did a survey ahead of time about the different points that we wanted to teach, or the different things that we were trying to train on, asked about their pain points, asked about challenges, just kind of polled them in some instances, and then we weaved that into the session. And we shared that we did this, and they knew that they did this, and so that just made them more engaged because they were able to connect and
they're kind of co-creators.
Yeah, in a way, but we did it in a structured fashion, so it could be replicated. But they were able to see their input and how it directly connected with what they were doing, and it really illuminated the challenges and the how what we were trying to teach help support those challenges, and the users really saw their voice in it, and so it really engaged folks, and that made that an experience versus a training where you were just driving through an agenda. Yes, right, exactly. So I really think learning experiences in my mind are just a flavor of communication challenge, and here we love communication challenges here at ThoughtForm, but you really just have to try and develop the content, the delivery, and the support in a way that makes sense for your organization in the short term and the long term, but also the user. So you need to think about that in a holistic way, from everything from economies of scale to budget to maintenance, those sorts of things. So in context and cohesiveness and all the things that we talked today are part of that.
Okay, well, thank you for stopping by.
Sure thing.
It was great to have you, and I think we've all learned a lot about training ecosystems and, not making it about program, but making it about an experience.
Not a program experience.
I'm definitely going to take that one with me. If you guys have any questions about anything we talked about, you could go to thoughtform.com. I'll leave a link in the description down below. And you can contact Nancy and us at the Contact Us form. And she'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. All right, I'll see you next month.